Okay. Hi, this is Pooja I'm Alliance Manager from Clip Technology Private Limited, and also I'm a part of ClipCon and Clip Institute of Information Security. So it's my honor to introduce Lakshmi Nair to the session. Quick introduction of Lakshmi. Lakshmi is a seasoned cybersecurity professional with over 19 years of experience in the field of security, risk and compliance, privacy and data security, and application security. Lakshmi has avid consulting experience with the global and domestic customers in energy, banking, chemical, and petroleum segments. She is known for her innovative problem solving, result oriented approach, and a fearless leadership style. She led large security transformation involving complex security requirements in her delivery role and lead the team top 100% growth in the less than 1 year as a delivery leader. She's also played a key role in the business growth to double the revenue figures for security business. Lakshmi Nair has been recognized as woman influencer in multiple platforms, featured in CISO magazine as the Woman Achiever in 2020 March, and a recipient of Top 20 Women Influencer in Security by Security Today and Women of Security. Women of Influence Award by Executive Women's Forum, and featured as Women in Technology Influencer by Equity. Here I welcome Lakshmi Nair to the session. So you can hand over the platform from here.
Thank you, Pooja. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whoever has joined from different part of the world. I would like to thank you first for taking out your Sunday to spend with us and to be part of this wonderful conference. I would like to thank Diversicon for this opportunity and hosting this very unique and special conference, in which we are talking about bringing diversity. How do we bring in different diversity perspective in in the cybersecurity space? So thanks for the introductions, Pooja. So I will not take a lot of time in getting into introductions now. So in today, what I'm going to talk about is a term which is barely used or very rarely used in the space, called multi-actor cybersecurity. I'm sure people are familiar with multi-factor authentication. There are double. There are other authentication methods, but a multi-actor security, cybersecurity is a term I think we are not very familiar with. And why this is very close to my heart, I wanted to share a little background about why this has become close to my heart. So I was having a conversation with one of my friends, in fact one of my ex-colleagues. So she was talking about how do we she was participating in one of the conferences where she was supposed to share views on how do we bring in different perspectives, the different privacy principles together in a world in an international scenario, and what are some of the things that we can do. So we were having this brainstorming session, and then this thought came into both of us kind of discussing that, hey, how about having a space where all the countries can share their specific cybersecurity threats and threat intelligence information, support each other, rather than siloing ourselves into different country-specific regulations and requirements. So that initiated a thought of this particular concept. And in fact, this is not a concept that I created. When I start reading it, I realized that there are already a lot of work that has happened, but there is a lot more that needs to be done in this space. So because when I was given this opportunity for Diversicon, then I thought, okay, how about talking about a multi-actor cybersecurity or a collective defense strategy initiative, rather in a diversity perspective, where we can bring in different actors together, diverse viewpoints from different actors together, different countries together, different point of views together to protect ourselves from the cyber criminals. And this is the quick background of what I'm going to talk about today. So Just to take you a little back, right? So let's imagine we have a point of sale attack, or maybe an attack on the medical system, or you have an attack on the cyber attack in the power grid, or probably something in your in ICS systems, right? So while we heard of lot of malwares in the past, right? In the last 1 year, we have heard of something like ransomware, I mean zero click malwares, and big bot, Mirai, and whatnot. So a lot of them we have heard. So whenever a such incident happens, our first thought is, oh man, this happened to someone else. Will it happen to us? Or I don't think it will happen to us. It is we are protected. But in reality, or attack like Mirai, or maybe Dridex for the matter, that happened in one financial organization, it could happen to anybody for that matter, right? So there are the developed countries and organizations that can leverage sophisticated cyber threat intelligence feeds, and having enough spent on protecting their information, they are able to combat these cyber threats, yet they are under attack. Let's imagine there are smaller organizations, right? So there may be smaller banks and companies where the cyber literacy is not so much. There could be organizations which are not does not have enough money to spend on the cybersecurity intelligence. So let's not deny the fact that the threats are everywhere. The internet is everywhere. The exposure is everywhere. So the bottom line is that even if this happens to one particular sector, one particular country, in one form, the targets could be anybody. It could be a different country with a lower cybersecurity maturity index, or it could maturity index, or could be a different industry where the same thing can be repeated there, right? So in a nutshell, it is same threat, multiple targets. So how do we the threat is the same, and it's just that it is just not going away. So it's just that you will get just like a new product, right? The iPhone 13 you would be getting for a fortune now, but after a few months, when the next model comes in, you would get it for less price. So just like that, if someone is selling this malware, that those might be expensive in the beginning, but eventually that becomes less expensive, widely available. People can use it in different places to exploit in some way or other. So the threat still remains the same, but the targets could be different in that space. So let's also think about how do we combat these attacks. We do maybe one organization. Let's talk about, say, Strucknets, which happened several years back, which kind of attacked the petroleum industry long back, right? So the way that it was kind of taken care of at that point, it was different. And then there were things, technical controls, probably. For example, if there is a malware that is impacting, so the remote connectivity in a specific system, so you could go get away with that. One way to do that with a patch, but just having a patch is not enough, right? So you would need to have overarching controls, overarching governance processes to support how do we sustain that, how do we continue to monitor that, how do we make sure that there is a systematic way of addressing them over a period of time in different industries. So the way that one particular organization, say A, combating this control may be different from B, who must be doing. The objective is to protect from a particular threat, right? So it could be Strucknet, it could be maybe Black Energy, or anything, any of the malware attacks or any cybersecurity attacks that you would see in the space. So have you ever thought that how much effort is going on in putting this together? So there are multiple efforts going on in protecting the data. yet we are not able to we are not able to optimize our spending in that space, right? So one part of the world, say organization A must be spending millions to do the research, and also putting together the framework to uh, mitigate these. Whereas, say you might, what do you have as a feed? You just have the threat intelligence feeds, right? You just know that, okay, there is a threat, there is a particular traffic that you would see from this particular IP, or maybe these particular set of IPs that you need to look at, and then probably put it on a watch list. And how do you do the next steps? They are different from different organizations. And ultimately, and in fact, if you look at in a real, if you do a reality check, we could unify a lot of these to put together a form in which we can share this information and reduce the effort. So have you ever thought of having a common channel and a common platform that we could leverage? How to classify these threats? How do we communicate the information on the threat intelligence, the incident investigation actions that we have taken, and also share the learning, share the actionable items across different platforms. So there are certain the initiatives that are going on today, and I'll be talking about a few of them in the upcoming slides, just to give you just an assurance that I'm not going to talk about. I'm not enforcing any of these products, any of these initiatives. It's just that during my study, I found, yeah, some of them are relevant to be shared to this platform. So having common platforms, for example, open cybersecurity alliance, you have options that to ensure interoperability and threat intelligence sharing between for information between different tools. So there are XML and YAML based formats that are developed, which is sometimes called stick shifter, DXL ontology. Those are some of the frameworks that are developed to create shareable information between platforms. They can utilize that across. So technically there are options available, but how do we put all of them together as a concept that we can kind of leverage and go on as a repeatable and sustainable way of doing it? So as I said, right, when I was talking to my friend, this thought came into the picture. How about putting together a framework, or rather a model, just like UN, right? So UN, you are aware that it is a treaty of multiple countries, wherein there are some common objectives, consensus based actions that are taken, which is primarily intended for the betterment of the world. So there are four different pillars in UN, such as human rights, security, in fact, national security, so on and so forth, right? So how about and let's also think about who are the participants, because we are talking about a multi-actor security approach, right? So there are different parties involved in any cybersecurity defense framework. So you have governments who are primarily there to form the laws and regulations and govern the overall combat actions, be it more offensive cybersecurity threats, or attacks, or military based cybersecurity attacks, on and so forth. And they have the law enforcement agencies to support. Then we have the private sector, who are able to share a good amount of information on the threats that they face, the risks that they have, the eventual impact that their customers would have, which definitely is each country's citizens, in which also will have an impact on the larger economy and uh, overall stability of the organization as well, or the country as well. And the threat research firms, who are able to give threat advisories to different organizations. So today, I have spoken to several customers wherein they are clueless about how many threat feeds that I need to subscribe to. So one of the customers was saying that, hey, I want threat feeds that are coming in for my security intelligence platform and overall. However, I want some specific threat feeds coming in for my mobile security space, right? So And the reality is that there are threat research organizations, and most of them will charge you a fortune, and you end up spending a lot of budget, and sometimes you don't have enough budget to spend as well. So if someone else is doing a research, why not we reuse that research findings in our own work as well? So you don't need to spend time and energy and money to do the research and decide on the actions again. So putting all these parties together, and I wanted to call this as this term, this is my term, United Cybersecurity Consortium, something like a UN space, or maybe a addition to the UN framework that we have today as one of the pillars to support cybersecurity across the world. So, if you have read some of the mission statements of UN, different UN pillars, they talk about give equal opportunity to every country, big or small, every ethnicity, every with a financial status. There is an overall uh, collective defense to weaken the security. Collective defense to weaken the threat actors, right? So ability, and then also protect the world from overall the wars that are future wars that could happen. So how about adding a little more to these statements, right? Give equal opportunity to big or small countries, developed or developing countries, or big or small organizations which are having, despite their financial status, and also protecting the world from the cybersecurity criminals. So let's also admit the fact that when you have a cyber security incident or have a cybersecurity threat. So this was something that I heard from one of the police officers podcast. I listened to a few months back, right? So in which he was saying that the cyber threat investigation is a very complex one. The reason being, the activity, the victims must be in, say, India or maybe some other country, but actual criminals may be in a different country under a different jurisdiction, right? And actually the people who have developed this malware, or probably the threat, could be in a different country. So it's so complex that you have different actors, different people, different, the victim is in one place, you have people in different countries, and you are not able to actually combat all of them together. So having a unified channel consortium, which would bring in a unified communication channel in which all actors can work together, share the cybersecurity, the threat intelligence, remediation guidance, having a common set of common controls, collective incident response, with an assurance that the data security, data privacy would be maintained. So there is no such question about the competitive advantage or competition being able to pick up the data and so on and so forth, right? So this is what we are talking about, a multi-factor cybersecurity approach or a collective cybersecurity approach. So the collective difference, I'm sure you must be thinking, collective defense isn't the new thing, isn't it? Same as the information sharing. Yeah, in a way, yes. So there is a lot common in information sharing and collective defense. In fact, the information sharing is the base for the collective defense. So the information sharing is nothing but you are sharing threat intelligence information, or probably something that could be an IOC that can be leveraged for deriving actions. Here in cybersecurity, in the collective defense, we are talking about more action-oriented approach. We are talking about a consensus-based collective approach to deal with cybersecurity threats. We are talking about sharing the incident investigation details, say For example, I have done an incident investigation, say in Europe, for the same attack. So how can I leverage some of those insights in a common platform to do similar investigation in India, right? So and how do we look at, say, overarching set of controls that could be used for driving the cybersecurity across the universe? So when I say that it is an overarching control, it definitely has the provision to amalgamate the country specific laws, because we can't really do away with the country specific laws. The reason being, each country has to a different set of extent to which the privacy laws are needed, and the overarching control would help you to define what is the bare minimum security that is needed to protect the data in any country, because the personal information in, say, a particular country is not less precious than a personal information in a different country, right? So there should be very minimal a certain set of controls that everyone should have. So, but additional controls are definitely each and every specific country regulation specific. As I said, when I went through some of the research, I understood that this isn't new. This concept has been there for some time, but there are so many inhibitions, there are so many misconceptions that are preventing people from adopting this. So I'm going to talk quickly about some of the misconceptions, and then we'll talk about some of the initiatives that are in place. So we are giving away a lot of competitive advantages. It's not. So let's think about the point that I mentioned at the beginning, right? A point of sale attack, attack in your medical system or an energy sector. This could happen to you today. It could happen to a different country. Or this happened in energy sector today. This could happen in, say, banking industry tomorrow. So it happened in, say, a different country or to a different company in the same sector. There is every possibility that this could happen to us in this particular a particular scenario. So there is no such situation that it doesn't happen everywhere. So the ability to share common threats, share a global infrastructure for threat intelligence, working together will help you to kind of strengthen your cybersecurity posture, and also give you a healthy landscape for cybersecurity. So let's also think about the supply chain attack. Right. So while we kind of focus on big organizations, big attacks, we are forgetting the fact that there may be smaller organization in the supply chain. They may not have enough money and enough budgets and enough insights to address some of the threat scenarios. Right. You know what? Those could be some of your supply chain participants. Those could eventually, a vulnerable supply chain participant, a smaller organization, could be one of your threat actor maybe in a few years or few months, right? So putting all these together, having a collective or having this information sharing is not really preventing you from having a competitive disadvantage, whereas it is actually preventing attackers from reusing the same method to replicate the same way of attacking a different sector or a same sector for that matter, right? So and the other one, the information is sufficient. So this isn't any different. So defense builds framework to share information more real time, high quality, crowdsource analysis that actually give you a multilateral sharing of threats, achieve speed and behavioral analytics in which you can respond to the queries, respond to the threats in a more action-oriented manner. So you can take quick actions rather than just being aware of the threats. Now, The other one is that there will be extra efforts required for resources. Yes, in the beginning, you will need to design or redefine your cybersecurity program to cater to the global cybersecurity the collective defense strategy to align to some of these options. However, uh, once you do that, having this being in the space will help you to respond to your threats, having intelligence on your sector specific threat intelligence in a much faster manner. And additionally, in this particular era, it makes it's more of a social responsibility for every organization to be part of the multi-actor or defense collective defense kind of foster the digital trust in the overall cyber world, because internet is everywhere and IT systems are everywhere, and that's still the threats are still continue to happen. Sharing information with government is not effective. I'm sure you must have thinking, okay, why are we bringing government into this picture? So as you know that government is definitely a key actor in this, who will be defining the regulations. And when they are defining the regulation, supporting us, it is important that we give them the right information, right insights about the threats on the ground. And government, with government support, they have much more power to enforce laws, have diplomatic ties to work with different countries, and something like a UN space where there are already a treaty with different countries in place. So it's just about bringing in another pillar to that. And also, they have the power to conduct defensive cyber or offensive cybersecurity operations, military combat operations. So, having government adds more power to the ability for private sector and the threat researchers to respond to that. So, as I said, there are efforts underway. And I just wanted to repeat this. I'm talking about a few initiatives here. It is just that some of these came during my research, and I'm not enforcing any one of them as part of my session today. So, from a government side, you would see that there is an 18-nation cybersecurity pact that has been formed primarily to protect the digital security, intellectual property, responsible information sharing in the cybersecurity space, internet security. So these are some of the objective of this alliance. And US also has recently, as of yesterday, they decided to be part of this alliance. So we are yet to see what are some of the actions coming out of it. Then there is a global cybersecurity index that talks about what are the cybersecurity initiatives, how countries are doing a comparison. But this is published by ITU. This is a voluntary survey based study that happens every year. Then IronNet is another platform wherein there is already a lot of work that has been done in putting together intelligence and threat information from different fields. As of today, this is more from the different tools and different threat intelligence fields. There is no marriage that happened between the public sector and private sector today. This is more a private sector driven activity right now. But the good thing is that there are public sector or more from a federal perspective, there are initiatives that are going on, which we will see that could make this difference. And Open Cybersecurity Alliance is another one, as I mentioned earlier. It is working on different protocols, different languages-based scripts and architecture to share information between different parties, different tools to optimize the cybersecurity investment, so that you don't need to purchase multiple tools, but we can utilize feeds from multiple tools to support each other. So as I said, good thing is that there is a lot of efforts underway. But today, if I think of something very similar to a United Cybersecurity Consortium, I don't think there is anything of that sort in the world today. So I'm happy to hear from you if you have known about anything that exists today, and how we can bring in that more into limelight and talk about that so people can start working on that. So just to summarize my session today, it's about overcoming the inhibitions. There is really need to be participating together, having a sense of social responsibility to foster digital trust in the space. Optimize the cybersecurity investment by putting your effort in the right place, not doing overdoing or redoing the things which someone else have done. So you can always reuse that information using some of these channels. And with that, we are able to put together a united and stronger defense to weaken the threats, which is going to be one of I think that's going to be our prime objective for tomorrow, when the threats are increasing day by day. So with that, I'm done with my session. Thank you again for taking out your time today on a Sunday and listen to me. So back to you, Pooja.
Thank you for informative session, Lakshmi. Even I made some of the points. So I think we don't have any questions. So guys, if you have any questions or if you come across any kind of thread or something, we request you to follow to Lakshmi Nair in Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and we will look forward to for next year as well, Lakshmi. So I think we have to end up this session. Yeah, thank you so much.